Sounds good. Thanks, Heather.
So don't say anything weird now.
It's all quiet now. Yeah.
All right. So I'll introduce everybody today. I'm the host. My name is Lydia Beliowska. I'm the Executive Director of Southern Maryland Center for Independent Living, and we're the CIL that covers St. Mary's, Charles, and Calvert counties. As Heather noted, we're recording this session, and you can watch it later on YouTube. It will be posted. If you have any questions, you can use the chat feature. Just hover the bottom of your screen, and you can message everyone or the particular participant individually. As most of you know, IAM stands for Independence Amplified Maryland. It's symbolic of our community's goals to be able to say, I'm in charge, I am independent. As Centers for Independent Living in the communities here in Maryland are the hub for information, referrals, and services to the disability community, and we provide these services. Most of us have disabilities. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mike Bullis. He's going to be our interviewer for today.
All right, thank you very much, Lydia. I appreciate that, and welcome everybody. We have a real pleasure today. You know, independent living for people with disabilities is multifaceted. As Lydia said, I am can mean I am independent. It also means I'm tough, as I've said before. And today we have Josh Basile with us. Josh is a person who has demonstrated his toughness, his willingness to push the envelope of disability for himself and to help other people do it. One of the ways he describes himself is as an advocate, as a philanthropist, and as a lawyer. But one of the other descriptions I found of him was as a mentor and as someone who has used mentors. And I think there's not much more powerful in our movement than the power of mentorship. Seeing someone or knowing someone like you who has accomplished the skills you need to accomplish makes it all more believable. It's very difficult to believe that you can accomplish the independence you need with your disability when you don't see anyone around you with that example. And Josh has done a great deal to really profile people with disabilities, how they interact, how they manage their independence, the kinds of tools, techniques, and skills they develop. He works with Spinalpedia. Spinalpedia has over 14,000 videos of people with disabilities doing lots of things. But I don't want to take all Josh's material, so I'm going to turn it over to Josh Basile. Josh is well able to speak for himself, but thank you so much for agreeing to do this today, Josh. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. As questions come through, if there's something I think is particularly relevant at any given moment, I will. You noticed that in my introduction of you, I forgot completely about your recreation, which is one of the things I know you're going to talk about today. So thank you very much for that. Josh has worked on employed individuals with disabilities to change the requirements so that more people will qualify to get Medicaid services while they're still working. And I could go on, but let me stop for now and let Josh Basile speak and take it away, Josh.
Thanks, Michael. It's great to be here today, and I want this to be a conversation. So if you ever want to put in a question through the chat system, I think people might be muted during the call, but if not, unmute yourself, ask your question. We can have a conversation as we go through this. A lot of what I've accomplished in my 16 years since being paralyzed is made possible because I've had incredible mentors. I have different people in my life show me what's possible, whether paralyzed, with a significant disability. And I always like to say, like, I never really had to reinvent the wheel, and I could follow in other people's wheel tracks to show me what's possible. And a lot of what I want to demonstrate today with the different recreational services that I've been able to be a part of, experience, and how I approach them. Anybody in this call, whether you're able-bodied or disabled, whatever you want to call it, all abilities can experience recreation, can experience employment, and it's just there's a few things that you have to do to end up believing, finding the right creativity, finding the right approaches, and being willing to try, and then getting out there and doing it. So here we go. Let's start this presentation. Next slide. So yes, my name is Josh Basile. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic. When I was 18 years old, I was on a family vacation at the beach in Delaware. I was in waist-high water, turned my back to the ocean, and a wave picked me up, threw me over my boogie board, and slammed me on the head. And at that moment, I heard a loud crack. I broke my neck. I was face down in the water, unable to move. And luckily, my friends saw me floating, and they pulled me to shore. And next thing you know, I'm a quadriplegic. And it was a start to a new life. Since then, I've not let my disability kind of dictate what was possible. Rather than, I knew I'm still the same person I was before my injury, and I love living. So I wanted to continue the adventure of life and started doing more activities. Sorry, there's a baby in the background. So I started doing more and more adventures and getting out there and seeing what was possible. So I do consider myself an adventure seeker. I'm also a trial attorney. I went back to school. I went to community college, then University of Maryland, and then I went to law school. And now I'm a medical malpractice attorney, fighting for families that have been catastrophically injured and developing their life care plans to make sure we get them as much money as possible to take care of their lives after the litigation process. I'm also the founder of Spinalpedia, which is a video mentoring network and community where people can share their stories with disabilities to show others what's possible. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Lastly, I'm a disability jobs mentor and advocate for all things employment. So getting back to employment is life-changing for me because it provides so much purpose, so much ability to contribute to your quality of life through dollars, through being able to contribute to the world around you. Next slide. So after a significant disability, we're all really forced to reset and kind of learn everything from scratch, which is tough. It's whenever you've learned how to do something for so many years. Oh, is it too loud with the baby in the background? All right, sorry.
No, it's perfect.
It's fine.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool. So whenever you're forced to hit the reset button and relearn everything like that you learned previously, it's so tough. You don't want to do it. It's just like in a lot of ways at this stage of the game, mentally you might want to give up, but it's not worth giving up because there's still a path forward if you can believe that there's going to be better days ahead of you. So I tell a lot of people that physically early on in my injury, yes, I was physically paralyzed, but mentally you could call it that you could be mentally paralyzed in a way if you do give up. And that is a choice that you as an individual make, and it's not a bad choice given the circumstances at certain stages of the game. But if it's a long-term choice, that's when it becomes an issue. What I quickly learned before my injury, I did things 1 million ways. And then since my injury, I now get to do it 1 million new ways, 1 million different ways, which is, it's super fun. I can't tell you, but today I'll tell you all of the amazing things that I've been able to do that I never thought were possible on day one after my injury when I had to hit that reset button. And it's amazing what's possible if you're willing to put yourself out there. So let's talk about that stuff. For me, I've learned so much through mentoring. So my website is spinalpedia.com. And what we do is we take information really for anybody with significant disabilities. It's made for the paralysis community, but we do speak disability together. So we take all of these videos and break them down by physical functionality and then put them in different categories and subcategories. This past week, we got over our 16,000th video that's been uploaded to the site with thousands of members. So I'd love for you to be there, see what's possible. Our motto of our website is see it, believe it, do it, the power of experience. So with a mentor, what that tells us is it gives us the ability to choose how we want to move forward. What is our path? There's so many different paths that you can choose. The unfortunate reality is that too many people choose the path after a significant disability is to stay in their home, the comfortable walls of their home, and the outside world becomes such a scary place, and that people just don't venture out. Or you could do a different path of living with an adventurous spirit and kind of seeing the world, experiencing the world, and getting out there. And another path might be pursuing employment. What I'd like to say to everybody is, choosing your path and finding how you want to get there is on your timetable. But learning from other people that are doing it before you or around you, it just gives you the confidence to let you know that you can do it too if you choose to. For me, it's always been about focusing what I can do rather than what I cannot. The truth is, I cannot do a lot of things as being paralyzed below my shoulders. But that doesn't mean I can't do a million other things. That doesn't mean I can't do things through the help of my caregivers, who, in many ways, I think of them as an extension of my arms, my hands, my feet. So everything that I do with my caregivers, I truly believe that I'm doing it as well, because we're a team, we're a unit, we're focused on the same goal. And I don't focus on the fact that I'm paralyzed and they're doing it for me. I focus on the fact that I'm doing it together. I'm accomplishing this goal that I've set out in my mind. They're basically extensions of me, but mentally the decision making is coming through me, which is very, very powerful. Can I get a second one? So in order to live with an adventurous spirit, there's 4 main areas I want to talk to you about. First is confidence. Confidence is extremely important because if you are confident with your abilities, if you gain confidence of your wheels, you start believing that the world is not out to get you, but you start believing that you can go in any direction, any path that you want, and that you choose to go down. At least you learn that there's an option to do it. You might learn that you can't do it, but you're not going to figure that out until you try. Second is creativity. I've found since my injury that, all those different ways, the 1 million different ways that I'm able to do things now are possible because you got to get creative. You've got to have a new, different approach at doing it, or you have to be willing to use technology in a unique way that maybe it was made for an able-bodied person, maybe it was made for another type of disability, but you can engage that technology to give opportunities to yourself. Next is having a willingness to try, being able to get outside that comfort zone, and being able to put yourself out there and trying, find out if you can't do it, find out if you can do it, but you got to try to figure out if both those things are possible. And last is being able to have a willingness to ask for help, or having a willingness to receive help. A lot of people, let's say you're at school and you're asking for disability accommodations. Some people think of that as a weakness, but I'm 100% against that mentality, because I think what disability accommodations are for is to create an even playing field, to give me an opportunity to show my teachers when I was in school what my mind wanted to express and what my mind was capable of understanding. So much of recreational activities, you need help, you need technology, you need all these other variables that are going to make it possible. But if you say no to those things, it's very likely that you might not be able to try that recreational activity in a meaningful way, or in a way that's going to give you the most fun, or the ability to compete with it as much as possible. So I'm going to dive into these 4 different areas with different recreational activities that I've done in my life since my injury, to give you examples and to kind of see it and believe kind of you can do it as well. All right, so believing in yourself. Confidence is power. It really is a superpower. The more confident you are, the more confident that you can get outside your front door and tackle what your goals are. It's just, I don't think I could do what I do without my confidence. It gives me the ability to not say no, or to not, it gives me the ability to always believe in myself that I can do something. And the only person that's ever going to stop me is me. And that's the way I like to pursue life. So after my injury, I told you I was injured in the ocean. So I wanted to find a way from a recreational standpoint to get back out there. And from a confidence standpoint, I wanted to tell Mother Nature that yes, you might have paralyzed me. You might have taken away something away from me, but you did not take away my adventurous spirit. So I let Mother Nature know by getting back out in the ocean that I was going to be out there again, and I can do this, and that I could still have fun at the beach. Next slide. For me, my favorite sport growing up was golf. And I really wanted to find a way to get back out there, but I would go out. Physically, I couldn't swing a golf club. I couldn't hold a golf club. I couldn't swing a golf club. But mentally, I knew I had all the game right in my head. And I knew how to make the right decisions. So I ended up creating different devices that I could control and be able to direct how to play the game. So I invented a sport called Slingshot golf. So I took a different approach to the game of golf, where you use a slingshot to hit the long ball. So I have a caregiver in front of me. I tell them the height, the line, the power, and to tell you the truth, it can shoot crazy far. The other day I shot a golf ball with my caregiver over two and a half, actually over 2 football fields in length. He ended up hitting a drive about 200 yards, which is insanely long. And then to putt the ball, I created a pendulum putting device with a protractor on it, where you can calibrate whether you want a 3-foot putt or a 30-foot putt or a 100-foot putt. And you have to decide the line, the power, the speed, and you're playing golf. It's different. It's not the same as regular golf, but it's slingshot golf. And one of my favorite things about it is I have a 2 handicap, and I would never have had that if I was able-bodied, which is kind of fun. So I've been able to get out there and play slingshot golf during COVID, which is actually a perfect sport during these days because you're able to separate yourself far from other people. And I wear my mask, I wear my glasses, and I'm out on a golf course playing and having fun. And it's fun to get outside the house right now, but all of us need to do it in a safe way. So this is a COVID-19 2 thumbs up sport that I would want to share with everybody. All right, from a different approach, when it comes to another sport I've tried is paintballing. Ended up getting a gun mount, mounted a paintball gun to the gun mount, tied a string from my mask to my trigger, and I would drive around my wheelchair, shooting everybody like a quadriplegic Terminator. And it's super fun to get out there. I did put a shield up in front of myself to give myself a little protection from my friends. I played with my able-bodied friends. I played with different quadriplegics and paraplegics. It's super fun to get out there. I just always ask people to shoot me above my level of injury. They don't always listen, but what can we do? But shoot me below my level of injury so I couldn't feel it. So I did that joke poorly. All right, so another way, different approaches and different strokes. I resumed mouth painting after my injury, and this was just another way for me to be able to express myself. I really did not know if I was going to be any good at painting until I tried, and I found out that a passion that I had before my injury, I still had after my injury. And it was just really fun to be able to see that I could do it. Getting creative with technology is so important. Sailing, I always thought sailing was going to be one of those things I could get on a boat, sit back, relax, have the wind in my hair, the sun on my face. But I never realized that I could actually end up sailing and have the control of the boat in my abilities. CRAB, which is here in Maryland, Chesapeake Region Accessible Boating, has a fleet of accessible boats. And one of their boats that we ended up fundraising for has a sip and puff control, where 2 different straws where I can control the rudder and the sails with just my breath. And I'm out on the water, and I just never knew that was possible until I realized that some technology could do it. So we went out there and we got it, and now it's available for Marylanders. And I love all types of sailing. That's one of the things I've really found out since my injury. So the top right boat is a boat also part of the CRAB fleet of boats, and it's a seater that has 2 positions for persons with disabilities, and then the rest for family members and friends. And you can go out, whether you're paraplegic, quadriplegic, you can sail. This other boat's called the Impossible Dream. It comes up and down the East Coast every year, and it's a catamaran with a deck that's wheelchair accessible, and then netting that you can get out and just lay out and enjoy the sun, and it's free for persons with disabilities. It's an incredible experience, and I highly recommend next summer. I think they canceled their trek up and down the East Coast because of COVID. They might not have, but I think they did. When I'm on the water, all I want to do is also fish. I love fishing. So I found different ways. You can have it so that you just put the rod on the boat, and then I have a push button, I reel it in, or I put it on my stomach and try to reel it in with my arms. Getting creative with technology, with equipment, allows fishing to be possible. So having a willingness to try is such an important part of having that adventurous spirit. You look at the picture on the bottom right, if I didn't show you those wheelchairs on the left side, you probably wouldn't know those 3 guys in that chair were all paralyzed. There's 2 quadriplegics and a paraplegic in that vehicle. But with that adventurous spirit, being willing to get outside of our wheelchair and try something new, we were able to cruise around town in a convertible. One of the willingness to try is to really start simple. You don't have to go out there and do some crazy things to find out if recreation or adventures are good for you. So one of my favorite ones is bowling. So there's a special bowling ramp that you use, and the bowling ball actually, this is if you're a quadriplegic. If you're a paraplegic or have enough functionality to hold a ball, you can do it with the holes, but this ball has no holes in it, but it has 2 dots on it. In the top right photo, you see a little yellow dot and then another dot at the top that the person's hand's pointing to. And depending on how you position that, you can create spin on your bowling ball, and you can tell it to go left, go right, and it's like a dartboard with a tremendous amount of accuracy. So bowling, I usually get a spare on every single time I go up there, which makes for very, very high rounds, and it's pretty fun. All right, and so now if you want to live adventurously and take it to the next level, which you could be a little crazy like I am, I ended up getting into this hammock attached to a hang glider and let an airplane pull me up about 3,000 feet in the air and drop me off, and I just soared like a bird. I think I'm probably one of the first quadriplegic birds to ever do such a thing, but it's fun. It's getting up there, it's looking down, and it was probably one of the most peaceful, exhilarating experiences of my entire life. And it's a beautiful thing to get outside that comfort zone. One of my favorite ways and willingness to ask and receive help, which is a very doable activity for everybody, is indoor skydiving through iFLY. If you get there, we do these all ability nights where you get basically a half price discount. And you go there, you have a disability during those nights, and they give you a suit. If you need help, instructors, volunteers will put the suit on you, and you get to the door, and all of a sudden they end up throwing you head first out of your wheelchair into the wind chamber and the 100 20-mile-per-hour winds lift you up, and you're flying. It's so easy, so simple, and I've taken out groups of like 20 different people, and 20 people in 2 hours are indoor skydiving. It's one of my favorite. I've done it over, I think, 12 times, and I highly recommend indoor skydiving for everybody. So I used it indoor skydiving as an opportunity to take that plus technology to the next level. They ended up putting a virtual reality headset on my head, and all of a sudden, with the flick of a button, I was in an airplane virtually through the goggles. I was in Dubai, 5,000 miles away. And right when the person on the screen jumped out, the two instructors threw me out of my wheelchair. I felt like I was jumping out of an airplane. And then as I'm in the wind chamber with all the wind on my face and my body, everywhere I looked, all I saw was what the person in the video was seeing. And I really felt like I was skydiving. It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, to be able to travel somewhere that I didn't think was possible. I always wanted to go skydiving, and this kind of, I haven't done it yet, but this is inching me closer and closer to that experience. I was talking with Bong today, who's part of your SIL, and he's trying to set it up so that we all go skydiving somewhere nearby. So another virtual reality headset thing that I'm doing now, I'm working with the University of Maryland Shock Trauma System, where we're creating a virtual reality for quadriplegics that are newly paralyzed, where they can control the headset instead of with their hands, but with their mouth. So while they're paralyzed in bed and not able to do things, we're creating video games, communications with their families to give them some independence as soon as they are paralyzed, to have some control in their life. And we think that this is going to be a powerful tool to help people get from that physical paralysis or stay away from that mental paralysis early on in their injury. A willingness to receive help. I had a really good friend, Andre, who's like, Josh, you want to do a triathlon with me? I'm like, first, obviously, my personality is like, yes. And then secondly, I'm like, all right, how is this going to happen? How are we going to do this? But little by little, we figured it out. We found out all the equipment we needed. We figured out the training regimen we needed. We thought about all the weather issues that were going to come up. And we trained all summer last year to do it. And then last September, we completed our first triathlon together. It just felt so good to be able to go from start to finish with a goal that was in mind that at first I didn't know was possible. And in the end, it was. And it's something I hope other people can try as well. Being able to do the run, the bicycle, and the swim. It was a team effort. It's obviously I'm holding him back a little bit, but I'm also using words, holding him back, with extra weight. But then I'm using my words to push him across the finish line. So, together we got through it, and I'm so glad that he was my partner in crime. Another fun adventure that you can do is skiing. For me, it's sit skiing. So there's like a little sled that I get onto, and the person behind me controls. But I always tell them, let's go fast. Let's be adventurous. Let's hit the grooves. Let's get out there. And if you're willing to ask for help, receive help, sit skiing is really, really fun as a quadriplegic. If you have a little bit more functionality as a quadriplegic, you could do it alone, but somebody could be tethered behind you to make sure that your ski doesn't go away, but it's like that fail-safe extra person behind you to be there. And if you're a paraplegic, you can have free reign with your ski, whether it's a mono ski or bi ski. It's some incredible things paraplegics can do out there on the ski slopes. Water skiing. I never knew if water skiing was possible, but I found the right group that was putting it together, talked with them, and as a high-level quadriplegic, I just had two people on either side of me be able to control the water sled, if you want to call it that, and they never let go. I never fell in, and basically it was just an incredible experience to be gliding on top of water. Super, super fun perspective. Scuba diving is so cool. for all abilities. It's an incredible organization called Dive Heart that locally does scuba diving lessons. And it's just, you start off in a pool and then you can go elsewhere, whether it's Florida or to Cozumel, Mexico, which I did with them about 4 years ago. An incredible experience to be underwater and to see the world in a different way. And floating, it's so cool. Takes a lot of training though. Do a lot of courses, take a lot of tests, a lot of time in the pool, but it's worth it. So all of these things that I'm talking about, I've done more and more adventures because of the fact is I always try to organize adventures for families. So one of the big things with my nonprofit Spinalpedia is we put together all these adventures for families at no cost to them. We organize it all, put it together, get the instructors on board. In the last 6 years, we put on over 1,000 adventures for families in the DC, Maryland area. And it's been a wild ride. So many friendships, so many memories. I think of a bunch of people on this call today have probably been participants. And I also love to call everybody that's done it with me a good friend too. So it's incredible to be able to do that with the community. So this was our big one last year. This was Virginia Beach 2019, the Adventurous Weekend. We provided 22 different adventures that families could choose from over a 3-day weekend. And the average participant did anywhere from 9 to 12 adventures on the list over the 3 days. It was a wild ride, which I very much wanted to do this summer, but obviously we're going to put a hold on it till next summer. And I hope everybody can sign up next year. The big thing, in order to participate though, you need to have some form of paralysis. That's where our funding comes from. That's how we get the dollars in to make it free for families. But if you're interested, you can send, this is my personal email address, josh.basile@gmail.com. Just put in the subject line, future adventure participant. Let me know your first and last name, your phone number, type of paralysis, physical functionality, and your address. And I'll be able to put you into our system to be able to send you an email when the sign up process begins. All right, so living with an adventurous spirit. There's 4 more parts to it that everybody has to think about. You can't just say, oh my God, I want to go hang gliding and go hang gliding. Bad things happen if you don't do the steps necessary to prepare for it. So here we go. These are the 4 steps I want to talk about. Preparing, researching, communicating, and then executing. So when it comes to preparing, you need to start thinking about all the different variables of the situations that are in front of you. So whenever I go into hot weather, I need to make sure that I'm dressed appropriately. I have suntan lotion. I usually carry around this thing called a mister that sprays cold water on my body to cool down my temperature. You have to think about what could go wrong. What types of equipment do I need to make this safe? So when you're preparing, you got to think about all those things. And then you need to research. Dive into it. Find out how other persons with disabilities have done it. Talk with your friends. What did they learn about it? You know, going in a way where you don't have somebody else to tell you what's possible. It's possible to do it, but I'm telling you, it's a lot safer if you speak to somebody else on their experiences. So then you got to communicate. So researching, you can do it with the community, and then communicating, you need to talk to them, but then also talk to the staff that's putting it on. What questions should I be asking? What questions do you want to ask me, and what answers can I give you? And then executing, it's all those other steps that I said before about the confidence, willingness to try, being able to put yourself out there, getting out there and making it happen. And so those are the 4 steps I definitely wanted to go over with everybody. So this a perfect example is for beach time. One of the things I've learned when it comes to preparing is all those weather elements of being able to know how to control my body, give myself shade, bring an umbrella. If I'm going to go on the sand, I want to make sure that I smooth it out a little bit to contour to my body first. When I'm out there, I turn myself every 15 to 20 minutes and check my skin to make sure there's no pressure points happening. When it comes to researching, I've learned over the years through talking with friends that beach wheelchairs, the one on the bottom left, are usually available in most towns. And what you need to do is contact the local fire department, and they usually actually have one in beach towns that you could rent out, which I never knew was possible or knew was an option. The one on the top left was a friend brought a wheelchair in town during the surfing that we went to in Virginia Beach. And he let everybody that wanted to get in and go for a ride in a tank wheelchair, which was pretty darn cool. So all these things that I'm talking about today, you know, it really does rewire the brain to let you know that whatever obstacle, whatever challenge, whatever goal that you want to achieve is possible. Your mind starts believing, I can do this. I'm going to do this. So living with Adventurous Spirit, with Adventurous Wheels, just with ability to believe in yourself, you're just, the amount of active lifestyle that you're going to lead is just going to be a beautiful thing. So getting out there, doing things, going after your dreams, going after your goals, make it happen. With this, you know, I've always told my mentees that after a significant disability, most of them become long-term disabilities. And for that, you need to think of it as a long-term investment. And to become your own best advocate, you need to be the captain of the ship. Nobody's going to fight harder for you than you're going to fight for yourself. So with that in mind, you need to be able to learn how to advocate, learn how to research, learn every single thing you can about a situation in front of you. So you can have the ability to dictate or to have an educated conversation about the issue or problem in front of you and come up with solutions to overcome it. So becoming your own best advocate is a must. All right, now I'm going to dive into 4 different slides of COVID-19 related fun activities that we all can do of all abilities this summer and fall and till there's a vaccine, basically, in my eyes. So in-person social distancing ideas, doing an outdoor picnic, meal, or drink with non-household members. I believe you can absolutely do this in an open space. I've been going to local parks, fields with family and friends, but I'm always 10 feet apart from them. And I always bring my own food or drinks. I don't let them bring things that we end up sharing. Everybody has their own stuff, but we get to enjoy each other's company. Another fun thing is an outdoor movie in the backyard or on your fence or on the side of a home. I ended up purchasing a projector where the projector is great for putting up a 10-foot, 15-foot screen, and they're so cheap now. I saw one on Amazon the other day for $79. But you get that, you bring it outside, you do a special connector to your phone, and you stream movies off your phone straight onto a white tarp or a wall somewhere. You can spread yourself out like the picnic idea and be 10 feet apart from everybody that's outside your household. Going for neighborhood walks and strolls, you know, going for a walk with anybody, you're on one side of the street, they're on the other, and you cruise along and you can walk and talk or stroll and talk. I love doing it through neighborhoods and exploring national and state parks or county parks. Getting out there, being a part of wilderness right now, the open air is so much fun. Obviously thinking about the weather, making sure you don't go during peak hours, and there's just a lot of beautiful things to be seen. Getting creative with Zoom or Zoom-like platforms. Last month I did a murder mystery Zoom date night where we invited different couples, different people, and I found this COVID murder mystery that it has like a COVID storyline. It's completely free with that URL, and you basically have one person, basically the game master, controls, gets people going, and you all get to dress up, do your part. It was super fun. But you also can do like Zoom calls like this and do a share your screen where you do like an online quiz, play Hangman, play Monopoly, Jeopardy, any kind of board game that you want. And basically go at it and battle and be competitive. I also love Audible or regular books, and just doing a book club over Zoom is super fun as well. All right, some ideas about getting creative at home. For my girlfriend, I ended up cooking or ordering in a meal and then blindfolded her and had her experience every single dish blindfolded to figure out what all the ingredients were in it. That was super fun. You can transfer out of your wheelchair if you're in a wheelchair to the couch or in a recliner and watch a movie or TV from a different perspective. You can go camping in your backyard or on the deck or balcony and basically just get a good foam mattress, air mattress, and a foam mattress on top of it. And you're camping, you're going on a vacation. There's also, what we've been doing in the household is creating different themed nights. So like doing a family movie night, cocktail night, a romantic date night, ice cream night, game night, exploring old memories through family videos or albums, or doing a Zoom night with friends. Just finding ways to switch it up, giving yourself something to look forward to 1 week from the next week. It's just, there's a lot that you can do. And then completing a do-it-yourself project. I really wanted to find out a way that I could wheel around this beautiful little girl, my girlfriend's daughter. And I found out a way to attach it to my wheelchair safely. And now we cruise around the neighborhood and go places where I can pull my weight, I guess. It's always fun. Can I get a drink? So getting creative with technology at home. I love golf and I miss my dad. And we, instead of being able to be on a golf course, which he doesn't feel comfortable right now being on a golf course with me because of COVID, we now play golf online. And I found a way of virtually doing that through a special video game that's on stream. Basically, you could play a round of golf against somebody with online technology. And now that's how we get to do 18 holes with each other on the weekends, which is super fun. You can also connect, mirror, or cast your cell phone or tablet screen to a television and play different video games on your screen with the household members so that they can see what's in front of you. You can take a virtual tour on your computer. There's some really cool virtual tours of museums, popular landmarks, and other things where you click a button and you can basically go wherever they videoed it in any different direction. So that's the recreation part of my talk. The second part of my talk is changing the disability narrative. Too often I wheel down the street and I don't see enough people that either look like me or have disabilities to be a part of the employment world. And I very, very much want to change that narrative. Having a voice at the table is so important in changing the narrative and letting the able-bodied community at large know that we have such an important part of connecting and contributing to the world around us. So in order to change that, my nonprofit provides myself, I become your free one-on-one job mentor to encourage you, talk through it, let you know that you're not alone in your employment journey. Specifically, if you're employed, if you're about to become employed, there's an incredible program that I work with now called the Ticket to Work program. It's a federal government program where we basically provide you the one-on-one job mentor plus an employment benefits counselor to tell you every single one of your options moving forward for keeping and maintaining your Medicaid benefits, Medicare, and how to deal with Social Security. I've known too many people that did not go through like a Ticket to Work type program, did not communicate well with Social Security, after becoming employed. And because of that, they kept on collecting their Social Security checks while collecting their employment salaries. And the next thing you know, 5 years later, Social Security comes knocking at the door saying, you should have stopped receiving that check. You owe me $60,000. So going through a Ticket to Work, having a benefits counselor, a job coach makes sure you don't make those mistakes. But at the end of the day, the amount of extra money that you're going to make beyond Social Security improves the quality of life so much more than staying poor and being on Social Security. It's such a better lifestyle to have that purpose and believing that waking up to that purpose of contributing as your job, making more money with your salary. Employment is really the way to go. And I want to let anybody know today, if you need to talk through it, or if you need encouragement, you need that confidence, wherever you are in your employment journey, I want to be a resource. So you can contact me at josh.basile@gmail.com, and I'd be honored to be a part of your employment journey. So these are the different, I'll go back one slide. If you're interested in the Ticket to Work, go back one more. If you're interested to the Ticket to Work or job mentoring, go to this website on the bottom. I created it specifically for this presentation, and I'll be happy to connect with you. These are my different website, my nonprofits at the top. The employment program that I'm running through my nonprofit, it's called willingtoworkusa.com. And then our video mentoring network is spinalpedia.com. My contact information is down below, and that's my cell phone number as well. I'd love to chat with anybody here about anything with the ventures to employment to you name it. All right, so this is the question and answer part. Go to the previous slide.
Excellent presentation. I loved it.
Yeah, you're wonderful, Josh. You have me speechless. It's incredible to meet a person who is a problem solver and a fighter, and who wants to bring people along with you. I think that's what disability is all about. Disability really is just I always say disability is just a solution, a problem waiting for a solution, and it's really inspiring in the sense that it's your character that helps you get these things done. But more importantly, there's so many solutions out there. If you just go research them, if you look for them, there's probably somebody who has done what you want to do. We don't always reach out for it because we start out by thinking, well, now I'm disabled and therefore I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do things. When really that's far from the truth. Almost anything you want to do, you can do. I loved your reference though to you got to go out and research. You got to be in charge of the process. You have to learn about it in order to make it happen. But thank you very much. Do we have questions, folks? If you want to unmute yourself, or that's fine. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question.
My name is Darlene. I've been looking for employment, and I've been doing applications, but they never accept my applications or never call me back. So this is a wonderful thing. And then I like some of the trips too. I didn't know I could do all them trips.
Darlene, I'd love to tell you a few tricks and tips right now. One is thinking of employment as a numbers game. The more applications you put out there, the more of a chance that you're going to have somebody calling you back. So, don't get discouraged after doing 5, 10, 15, 20. Put out 100 out there. I'm telling you right now, it's a numbers game. And while you're doing that, it's so important to reach out to your community to let them know that you're looking for work. People, if you don't ask, you're not going to receive. So ask, get out there. You're being active. You're wanting to do and contribute. So saying, these are my skills. This is the type of job I'm looking for. This is what I can contribute. Do you have somewhere within your business? Do you have a family member or friend that's looking for somebody to help in these areas? So really getting yourself out there and spreading yourself as far and wide as you can is going to give you a much better opportunity to getting that employment and making it possible. Don't be shy.
Thank you.
That's one strategy to attack it. There's another 500 employment strategies I could tell you, but that's a big one.
Thank you so much.
Use your network. Get involved with people who are doing what you want to do. You're not, one of my early experiences in employment was when I had 50 resumes printed up and none of those worked. So then on my 51st resume, I got hired, and all I thought was, well, I'm glad I got to that 51 because that, it's the guy who says, it's the company that says yes to you that you want to get to, not the one that says no. You want to find your value, find out what you're good at, and believe in yourself and your abilities. You can do it.
Thank you.
So Josh, how did you get the opportunity to work at the law firm you work at?
So I got the opportunity while in law school. I worked for a federal judge. I then worked for another law firm, and then the next year I worked for the U.S. Attorney's Office. And then my last semester, I ended up asking for a job at the firm that I'm at with now. And at that point, because I took so many internships and clerkships, which gave me credit during the summers. My last semester of law school, I only had to take 3 classes to graduate, which gave me a lot of time to work the internship. And, I ended up putting in like 25-hour work weeks while being a full-time student, which, made my boss think, this quadriplegic attorney's a robot. Like, I think he'd be a great part of the team. And right at the end, after my very last exam, I got a phone call from my boss saying one word. He said, "Congratulations." And then he paused. And then I was like, so he said, "Congratulations," and paused. And then he said, "Josh, I want you to be my newest associate." And I almost jumped out of my wheelchair. It was a great day, great moment, but it's one of those things that, I had to put myself out there to get that job. I had to work for it. I had to show what I could contribute. And I don't think I wouldn't have gotten that internship if I didn't ask him for that opportunity. I wouldn't have had that job if it wasn't for that. So get out there, ask, and contribute your skills and show them what you got.
I would observe that you did it the right way by doing all the internships, getting to know people. I know a lot of people who have law degrees and who have advanced degrees who are very disappointed because they say to me, "Well, I got these degrees and I got an extra degree because I thought maybe that would make me more employable," and then they find out, no, it's not that. It's that you somehow have to get out there and demonstrate your value and show people what you can do in order to make it happen, because your disability is still the first thing other people see, and they think, well, you can't do this job.
It's not really what you know, it's who you know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But having a much more active lifestyle and putting yourself out there lets people get a taste, a flavor of what you can contribute and how awesome you can be a part of their team. And there's every single one of us, every person of all abilities has ability to contribute in some way. It's just a matter of having the confidence to put yourself out there and to show what you have.
Well, you certainly do that, and you're a great example. Thanks for all your work on employed individuals with disabilities legislation. That has been huge for us to be able to keep expanding that program so people can have more opportunities. How much can you make now on, as a person with a disability, how much can you make and not lose your Medicaid? Do you know what that number is these days?
Yes, so right now it's 300. Currently it's 300% of the federal poverty level. We're working on changing that number and raising it tremendously. COVID hit a little pause button right when we were starting to make changes, but we're going to resume talks in September with the state. We created a work group thanks to the governor after talking with him about this issue. And we've had about 13 meetings with the state with high-level members to really get Medicaid buy-in policy changes done. And we'd love to have more and more people at the table to contribute their voices, their stories, to let it be known why these changes are so important. But so the 300% of the federal poverty level, if you have zero unearned income, which means you're not collecting Social Security or any other type of unearned benefit based on how the state recognizes it, you can, I believe you can make about $78,000 a year. And if you're making unearned income, it kind of cuts it in half. So it's a troublesome formula where, to tell you the truth, there shouldn't be limits on how much somebody can earn. Their skills and talents deserve a dollar amount. There should be value in all your abilities, and you shouldn't be prevented from taking a pay raise, a promotion. We should all be able to strive for whatever we want to do, whether it's in leadership positions or whatever position we want to take. There shouldn't be limits on our success. And that's why we're trying to change the income limits, the asset limits, the age requirement, which forces people to retire at 65. We shouldn't be retiring at 65. We should be retiring when we want to retire with a disability. And then the spousal inclusion, we're trying to remove that so that we can get married rather than being happily divorced or cohabitated partners. Because if you get married, you get kicked out of the program because your salary plus your partner's salary kicks you out of the program. So we're working on changing all those rules.
All right, other questions for Josh? Josh, as I've said before, it's a real honor to know someone like you. It's a pleasure to see a person with the spirit and the energy that you've got. You're a man after my own heart, sir, and I really am inspired personally because not because you do what you do, but it's just incredible to meet someone who I feel a kinship to all the time. That a fellow fighter, I guess I would say, and who puts not just the fight in it, but the intelligence and the thought into it. Thanks for all the work you do.
Thanks, Michael.
Absolutely, Josh. Thank you so much. That was so inspirational, and you're a wealth of knowledge. And I hope that our viewers can reach out to you if they need to and spread the word. And we'll definitely, as sales directors and staff, will definitely connect our consumers to you if they need assistance and mentorship. That sounds great. And we love bringing this information to you guys every week. And if you can contribute financially to the programs, to the IM broadcast, please do so. You can do that right at the registration form for next week, for example. And next week's call is on July 27th, next Monday. And the session will feature a panel of speakers. We'll have Kathy Raggio, Marian Vessels, and Martha Mass. And they will discuss ADA's past, present, and future. And we're gonna honor, of course, ADA's 30th anniversary next Monday. So that'll be really exciting. Hope to see most of you there. Also, I wanted to open the floor really quick for any announcements from any of the other SILs or anybody else on the call, services or other COVID-related information, that if you guys have anything before we close.
I have something. ARI is hiring for a housing specialist, 40-hour a week at $20 an hour. We are the Center for Independent Living that serves Anne Arundel and Howard counties. So we're love to have someone with some housing experience, either personally or professionally, that would like to work with ARI. So you can find our announcement. I'll put it in the chat box.
Any of the Independence Now staff on the call should just ignore that announcement. And I want to Abiola to say something about our online protests that are happening next week.
She needs to unmute herself. If she's muted, I'm not sure.
She was on.
Sorry. I started talking and I always forget that part. Hi, everybody. Independence Now is going to be hosting a two-day or two-part online conference and protest in support of the not only Black Lives Matter, but specifically Black disabled lives mattering. And we're going to have two panels, one day for young people with disabilities and day two for adults with disabilities to share their stories and come together, demand justice against systemic racism or discrimination of all kinds. For consumers on the line, we are looking forward to your participation in that as speakers, not just persons who listen to the Zoom meeting. The event is going to be held on the 28th and the 29th of June from 12 to 1:30 p.m. on both dates. And everyone is welcome to join in. We'll be sending out more the Zoom link soon, but we already have a couple of consumers as speakers. Staff will be moderating, and our adult panel speaker is going to be Dr. Donald Walton, who has who's not only a clinical counselor, she's written a couple of books, and she's going to be addressing the issue of access to healthcare for persons with disabilities, particularly during this COVID pandemic, and how the pandemic has revealed disparities within our community, and particularly negatively affected the African American community here in America. So,
if people want to get
really
involved,
hope you will join.
if people want to get involved, who do they email? Where do they go?
Me. My email address, I will put it in the chat, but
Okay.
my email address is aheliger, which is a doozy to spell, HEYLIGER at inow.org, INNOW.org.
Also on our Facebook page, if anybody, if it's
Excellent.
on Facebook and look for Independence
Thank you,
Now.
Serena.
Great, that sounds amazing. Thank you guys for doing that.
Josh,
Okay,
I have one other question.
Go ahead.
When can I hang out with you? I love skydiving.
You're not hiring, right, Josh? Because we put an end to this call.
We're always looking for volunteers, I guess.
There you
But well, definitely 2021 is likely when adventures are going to resume. We're waiting for a vaccine to come about so we can do it safely and responsibly for the community, for those with paralysis, and I just can't wait for that day to come. I'm so looking forward to this summer for it to be our most adventurous one yet, but we'll get there. We'll resume.
Sounds great. Thank you all so much for being
Excellent.
here. Yes, amazing. Stay safe and hope to see you next Monday.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.